And for the second time because we screwed up the first time.
It's been a busy day at the office, so
Welcome to Certified Life Coach Institute, and we are live. Thank you for being here.
We look very festive today for one very important reason. Lisa's birthday! Woo! Woo, woo. We're doing it in 2 days, but we're celebrating today with everyone at CLCI Live. So if you want, actually not if you want, you just should do it. Put happy birthday in the chat. Happy birthday, Lisa.
Thank you.
And for every happy birthday Lisa we get, we'll sing happy birthday.
Every single time.
Oh my gosh.
Every single time. Every single time we're going to sing happy. Everyone.
Brooke, you're a bit frozen looking.
Yeah. So we're going to be talking today about setting that session contract for every session. I think they're trying to sing here, but I'm going to usurp them. Setting that session contract revisited. I guess we're having a lot of questions about that and why we're revisiting it.
Do you see
Pardon?
Oh, it just the wrong thing was popped up on the screen. I was fixing it. So go ahead. Sorry.
Looking good. You're looking good now. So yeah, Lisa did mention we will be diving into setting the session contract again. We've done this in the past, but again, we believe this is something worth revisiting. It's important. You should be doing it every session you are having. So we are revisiting that, but not prior to, again, we're going to express our love and gratitude to Lisa just a moment. And I don't know. Are you guys ready to sing happy birthday? I think she certainly deserves it.
I think we can. I think we absolutely can.
Okay.
Shall we?
You're still frozen.
Oh, how am I frozen? I don't know why I'm frozen.
You look good here.
Maybe it's...
Oh, she's left. She's
Okay.
left us.
Did she look frozen, Lisa?
She did on my end as well.
So strange.
But we could hear her voice pretty clearly in the sense of it was coming through the stream. So let's talk about that session contract. So we're not sitting here just waiting. Yeah. So a session contract you're setting in every session. This is not the form you're having signed when they first come in.
Am I frozen?
No.
Okay. Yay. Okay.
Okay, so let's sing happy birthday now before we get into our topic.
Okay, yeah.
1, a 2, a 3.
Happy birthday
to you.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday,
dear Lisa. Happy birthday to you.
Fairy godmother.
And many more.
Sam Gozo said happy birthday.
Sam, thank you guys.
Poorly sang you happy birthday.
And they made me wear this crown. Ooh, it's getting a little heavy.
So we are going to talk today about Lisa's birthday. Happy birthday. Hi, Sam. It's good to see you. And welcome. Thank you for watching and checking in. Happy birthday. Oh, Sam, do you want to join us? Can you join us? I will send you a link, Sam, right now.
He's usually like in the middle of doing something or
well, we might as well just drop the link just in case, because I may have told people to be ready for this just in case. So that we could wish you a happy birthday, but we have technical difficulties today. So I'm dropping it in there just in case you want to join us, Sam, or anybody else.
Please. Okay.
Alrighty. So now I'm sharing things. So we're going to setting the session contract. Yes.
We announced that like 20 different times.
I think we should do it 3 more times. I think we should do it like 4 or 5 more times personally. So when we say setting the contract, what does that mean exactly? Because we're talking very particular, the session contract, not like the overall contract.
Yeah, the overall contract being the thing that they sign, acknowledging what their job is, what your job is as their coach, kind of identifying those concepts. But in the session contract, what you're doing is keeping the focus of the session, and it's like the go-to wonderful place that allows that session to find its focus and find what the client hopes to achieve from that. And so the language builds from there. So what am I saying when I say that? I'm saying, what brought you in today? And what do you hope to achieve from that? And then how do you know you've achieved it? Those are the beginning 3 statements that you make as that session contract.
So, just to be clear, we're not talking about the client service agreement, are we?
No, not that agreement. Not
Okay.
that contract, not that agreement. That is something different that I think we've spoken about before.
Mhm.
But it is similar in the sense of it is creating the focus and identifying what the client's coming in for.
So why don't we, one of my favorite things that we do as of late is the practicing of the coaching, right? Because I think this is a great way of doing a little demo. Before we do though, there is a lot of important things that happen when setting the session contract. And those important things are as one, that oh good, you got that to him, good. That it essentially, CYA is what I'm saying. It covers your butt. It's that if the client comes in and says, well, this is what I want to work on in this session, and this is how I'm going to achieve it and know that I have successfully achieved it, you know right then and there what your work is and what you have to get done. And that makes your job as a coach very easy. And also it makes, at the end of the session, when you close the contract, which is just as important, not just setting, but closing, I think we should also mention, you can say, hey, did we accomplish said goal? And yes, I feel like we did it. It's fantastic. And then now you know everybody's happy and you've achieved your job. So, or done your job. And that is instant return on investment. So instant proof that you've done your job is kind of fantastic with that.
So it's Brooke, what brought you in today?
Well, it's not necessarily what brought me in, but I would have been here anyways. Kata, we made an appointment like a week ago, and I like to show up to my appointments if I can. I just think
What would you like to discuss today?
Oh, okay. I would like to discuss. Well, let's see here. I'd like to talk through a plan for a business venture I'm considering. Actually, I'd like to figure out if it's the right time to start it.
A plan for a business venture. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Jerome, did you have something?
Yeah, before we move on, I kind of want to interject and ask, would it be okay to ask, so you had a session prior to this session, would it be okay to ask your client, this is what we spoke about. Hey, Sam's here.
He is in his car. I told you he's usually going somewhere.
Hi, Sam. We
Can't
hear you. Let's see.
Oh no, we can't hear Sam. He's out of his car though. That's a good thing.
He's not whispering, but he's whispering so lowly we can't hear him. So what we're going to start with, though, which makes sense, was we're not doing the follow-up conversation at the moment. Okay. You're kind of getting that first client, first moment of coming into you. What's brought you into here today? Why to make an appointment? Okay, you little smart aleck. What do you want to focus on today's session, right? In this particular case, it's a business plan or business venture, but we don't know enough to even ask that next question. So it's getting that dialogue built a little bit more, getting a little bit more information, and then we get into, what would they like to take away from today's session based on what they're sharing. Yeah, we still can't hear our...
I'm messaging right now. He may need to just give permission for the microphone on his phone, but
maybe he just doesn't like us.
We haven't done this on the fly like this.
Yeah, we haven't. But I'm looking. I see his volume is up. He should have sound, so I don't know why that is that he doesn't. Does he have? Are you connected? He might be connected to Bluetooth or something in his car too.
Oh, that could be. Yeah.
He could be connected to Bluetooth in his car. That's very possible.
Troubleshooting through all kinds of things.
So see, everybody deals with this.
Everybody has technical issues. Checklists to go through.
But so where were we at? We were talking about setting the session contract again.
Which is the business plan venture, which we don't know enough, as I was saying. And then the next, we're going to build that, the story of what that is about.
what it's important though to mention is what Lisa mentioned just now, is that we have talked about what we want to work on, but that is only half of the puzzle, right? That is only part of the equation. The other half, we can find out what we want to work on, but we also have to ask, well, what does that look like? What is that? I mean, how do we know when we have accomplished that goal? What does that look like for you in this session? And that piece is critical in this setting the session contract, because I think the first part is the easier part. The second part is the one that I think that most coaches kind of jump over or skip past.
Yeah, they absolutely skip past it. And really the bigger one, or their third, I call it the third question, is that they skip over is how do they know they've achieved that?
Yeah, that's I think we're saying the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that how do you know if once you achieve that goal, once you have reached it, once you have accomplished it?
That's the bigger piece that they often leave out. And when I'm going through the different, in a sense, mentoring, going through in the rooms, mentoring the moment, that's the piece that when they feel like they're scrambling and not quite focused and not sure where the client's going or whether the question is like, I don't understand. And in that place, you just kind of go back to that reflection, and then you share, tell me how you'll know that you've achieved this business plan venture, or we were just playing with what you said. But the idea is, how will you know by the time you leave our session today
that we have accomplished that goal?
How will you know?
So let's do an example. Jerome, do you want to coach a little? Why don't we have you coach somebody?
Yeah,
Jerome. Coach Lisa. You two never. You two, this never happened. So Jerome, you coach Lisa. Anthony and I are going to watch and something on the hot seat.
Okay. No, we like you guys on the hot seat. What I could be coached on. Probably in today.
Wait.
And this is going to be silly. It's truthful, but it's silly. Go ahead, Jerome.
I was just going to say, I wanted to say it. So hello, Lisa. Good to see you today. What would you like to work on today?
So it's just kind of funny. I got a couple little presents today, and my adorable grandbaby, Cambria, who's 5, has already claimed my teddy bear. And I have told her she can have it after Thursday because she wants to claim it. And I think I want to have ownership of it for a little while. Like I said, not a big thing to discuss.
Can you tell me what success in the situation of you claiming ownership?
Yeah, it made me smile today. It brought how cute is this? It brought pictures of you guys, just connecting with you guys. So we got sentimental piece of it. So that sentimental piece, well, if I give it to her, just live downstairs, not a big deal. But the sentimental piece is what I am attached to in that little silly, cute bear.
Is there any way that you could gauge whether or not you are retaining that sentimental aspect of being in possession of that bear by the end of this session today?
I am just generally sentimental, so I don't need a bear to put me in that space. So, yes, I already know that is my tendency. It was just nice to have that cute little reminder.
So I do hear you speaking about retaining ownership of the bear. And then also, you kind of just spoke about you being sentimental just in general. Which in this space is a little bit more important for you to focus on in this session?
I guess the sentimental takeaway.
Okay. So is there a way that we can gauge whether you are retaining your sentiment in this space at all by the end of the session by the end of the session?
Well, as I'm sitting here thinking about it, I'm happy either way to provide and give her the bear. I'm happy with my timeline. I probably just need to talk about it. I think that's how I know the difference and how that will best suit me. They're just really talking about it. I think I've already kind of made that decision on how I would make her smile as well as receive all of your smiles.
Okay. So can you help me understand a little bit more clearly as to what you mean by talk about it?
So by the end of the session, I think just to reaffirm my decision to share the bear with her on Thursday or Friday.
Okay. So reaffirming that decision as to share this bear with.
I should go get said bear.
Is that allowed? Can we do that in this session?
To have a bear? It depends on if it's a real bear or if it's a stuffed bear. I mean, because a real bear might be cool. I just might not live through the session. So I think that's something we should talk about.
If it's a little baby koala bear, that might be exciting.
Koala bears are evil.
Little baby one, though. Little one, tiny one.
Koala bears will rip your face off.
I hate koalas so much.
They are so evil.
You guys are cool. There's in Australia a koala bear rescue, and they have been gone through a lot. And they're very sweet.
They are stoned on eucalyptus 24/7. Koala bears.
They've got smooth brains. They don't have any folds in their brains. That's how dumb they are.
Before we continue on about koala bears for the rest of the stream, was there anything that I missed in setting that?
No, you. I'm very proud of you. Like, I was like, oh man, she is avoiding and not like giving us that moment. And you were awesome. You stayed on target. You knew that what you had to do was to, how is this a success? And you got her to say, well, I think if just talking it through is what I need to do. And that was your answer right there. The one thing I may have done, but we interrupted prior to, would be to say, so just to mirror that to her. So talking through this is what you need to do right now in this moment. I mean, that for you, that would be successful, or make a successful session, is if we talk through this share the bear situation. So I'm going to make sure to say share the bear.
I have to go get it. I put it on the table, and she came up. She goes, "Oh, that is so cute!" And how do you tell you, 5-year-old? No, it's mine. It's mine. Oh, it's so cute.
By the way, Adrian Townsend Benton, and also it was who was the other?
No.
Somebody else said happy birthday to you. Oh yeah, Janelle said happy birthday, and Adrian both said happy birthday to you, Lisa. You're getting birthday love all over.
Now.
Thank you.
We Lisa, she is, by the way, she's 21 years old, Lisa.
Yes, and we can certainly tell by the white hair I got going on. 21 is the accurate number.
21? I thought you just graduated high school.
Yeah, I'm a little slow too. In that I had to wait till I was 21.
So let's. Why don't we do it? I think we should. I love our Anthony. Let's have you set a session contract now. What do you want?
I wanted to kind of jump in on the coaching thing, Lisa.
Go for it. Do it. Do it, Coach Lisa.
Coach Lisa.
Yeah,
it's her birthday. We can do whatever we want to her.
Lisa.
Anthony.
Lisa. What did you come in, or what would you like to talk about today in this coaching session?
So I'm irritated.
Okay.
About that square thing I was speaking to you guys about earlier, and I thought I did my due diligence on everything that I was supposed to accomplish. And I have all the things written down, and I know I wrote them accurately, and now it's causing me irritation.
What about that is causing irritation? Because it sounds like you've done your due diligence, you've taken notes, you.
Wait. Are we setting a session contract in this, or are we just delving? I'm just curious. Like,
I'm trying to get more of a broader picture of what or a more clear picture of what we're talking about right now.
Okay. All right.
So I've gone
what-
through the state and have gotten all the things I'm supposed to get to put my ducks in a row.
Mhm.
I had my ducks in a row, and somewhere along the line, something's wrong. And so then I've gone back to try and reassess, and I'm getting stumbling blocks at every uh, crossroad, I guess you would say.
Mhm. So it sounds like you are annoyed at a process that you had that wasn't perfected enough,
It's irritating.
and it's irritating you. So,
Yeah.
what would you like to work on as far as that irritation goes, so that by the end of the session, that you've made some progress into um,
Well, I can tell
solving it?
you, going through the process of getting those numbers and things was huge anxiety and huge irritation. So to have to repeat this and go down a path that I thought I already completed, a task that is incomplete at the moment, I guess the only thing is to find the acceptance of it and get back on the horse tomorrow, because today didn't happen, to find my answers.
I see. So, success for you would be to let go of that irritation. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, it's not there yet, though. Totally not
Okay.
there. I can compartmentalize. That might
Mhm.
be what the end result is that I just have to put it in its own little compartment and put it away till tomorrow. I'm
And
guessing that's probably
what would compartmentalizing be like? What does that look like for you?
ignoring it, putting it under the rug
Okay.
until
Does
I
that
get to it tomorrow.
my question is, does that solve the annoyance, or does that put off the annoyance for another day?
It puts it off, but it solves it for the temporary moment. It's a band-aid.
Do you
And
want a temporary solution,
So
or do
wait,
you?
have we
Mhm.
set the contract though? Have we set the
It's
contract?
the contract in my mind. This is out stepping outside of this session. Is Lisa's annoyance being gone by the end of the session?
So have we done the second part though? The how will we know when we have accomplished that?
Rats.
see that?
How we
Oh.
start the process of it.
How would you?
Because
How will we
I
know?
think that's why you were kind of floundering a little bit, like you were like stuck in this sort of. Because like just because of that, if you had just because then you have a direction, and this is
I'm
good
Yeah,
because this is
I'm
important.
firing off too many questions. I need to slow my roll.
Yeah, just take a deep breath. Remember that you have two things to do at the start of your session, like two very critical things. The first thing is find out what they want to work on. The second thing is find out how you know you have accomplished that goal.
Mhm. Lisa, how will we know that you've accomplished your goal by the end of the session?
So if I really believe in the compartmentalization of this, is that I'm not going to be irritated now. I'll be irritated tomorrow, or I can perhaps be less irritated by tomorrow. But I'm going to go with that. So putting in its compartment releases that energy for today. Getting back into it tomorrow, I'll revisit what that looks like. But for today, I can just um, at the end of the session is just enjoy the moment.
I see. So by the end of the session and by the end of today, you want to take that stress and annoyance and just let it go. That's something for another day. Today is not about that
Yeah,
anymore. Okay.
yeah, yeah.
So that compartmentalizing that you
I
spoke
know.
of,
Yeah.
what does that look like?
Um, so usually what I wind up doing is taking some notes so that I have what I need to focus in on the next time I have to pick it up. So the notes would go right on my desk. Do this, do that, um, call that number, spend a forever on hold
Mhm.
until I get my answer and what I need. But so just usually writing it down will help me release that energy around that piece for the moment.
Gotcha. So writing things down so that you set yourself up for success in the future. Um, is there any other things that you do outside of the work that needs to be done in general?
For this particular piece of my work, no, that's probably what I will need to do is to jot down a notation, a few notations on the task at hand so that I don't have to be overthinking it. And it's usually overthinking it, I think, is what some of that irritation is. And then having to do repeat work. That's the other irritation, because who's got all the time to do repeat work?
I mean, not me. I don't like doing that. Now I'm starting to speak as more so Anthony, not as the coach. Coach hat back on. So, sort of as an action item, we have writing things down.
Yeah.
For the future.
For this particular task, and there's other tasks that I will bounce things off of other people and write. But for this task, I think the easiest.
When do you know? Oh, sorry. When do you know that you're done writing things down? At what point do you say that's enough and you're ready to move on?
Yeah, so I pretty much do bullet points. I don't write a story for the most part on these kinds of things, and so that will be it. Just bullet point concepts that I will address tomorrow.
And when that's all said and done with the bullet points, do you feel like that it's been compartmentalized completely and you no longer feel that annoyance?
All of that's in the compartment with it, so I can put that pause, I like to say, on it on this present moment, and then reassess tomorrow. Usually not as irritated. That's also true.
And do you want to talk about going into the next day as well, or do you have anything more you'd like to go into today as far as that's concerned?
Question.
Yeah.
Question. Was that so? In him asking about the next day, that's feeding you a bit, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that was a bit leading.
Yeah, that's a bit leading. So you would just want to say, is there anything else? Just keep it more open.
Is there anything else you'd like to talk about in regards to?
First, get into more reflection. You're speaking about that irritation. You don't like to do things twice. You don't. You've mentioned that by the end of the session that you want to be less irritated and that you're going to compartmentalize, right? So kind of get more nutshell-y with some of the things I'm saying as well. It's hard to do both seats.
It's always the I use that tool actually as a thinking tool, because I am one who can lead on occasion. So my sort of technique to prevent the leading is to instead mirror, reflect, and recap essentially, and then.
I was pretty much ready to just be done right then. It's like, all right, cool, you've got an action plan. Do that, and next time we meet and tell me about it.
Anthony's sessions are very short.
No fooling around with Coach Anthony.
The other thing to be aware of, Anthony, just something that I do as well, is stacking questions.
I go too
and
much.
for those of you who don't know what stacking questions are, it's when you ask one question and then another question right afterwards without letting the client respond, and that can be confusing for the client. But it's something that we do, especially those of us who are impatient and think quickly.
So think of it when you're in that recap place, right? Thinking of it as my story that you're sharing back with me. Anthony, I know you're an amazing writer, and I know this is not normally something that you're doing. So if you think of this as my story and you're capturing those components that make you'll hear stresses on different things that I say. So that's what you're doing. You're capturing that story stress on how I'm sharing. Does that help at all?
It does, because at certain points a coach has to retell that story to make sure we're on the same page and we're not adding to the story. We're not trying to write the story for the client, which I was trying to do. In my mind, I was like, okay, let's explore the problem of your annoyance for the next time, but I'm creating goals for you that wasn't the goal that you set in the contract.
Yeah.
The goal in the contract was annoyance for today.
Yeah, and it's not in my nature right now to think I'm never going to be annoyed. because that's just not my nature. I know I'm going to be annoyed.
Because she's always annoyed.
I'm always annoyed.
She does not know a moment in her life in which she was not annoyed.
Oh my goodness. Now you're on a slippery slope.
I'm going to get in trouble after the show, guys.
I'm annoyed at you. Oops.
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
Is there an ideal amount of time that you should be setting this session contract in, or is it you should let that completely flow? I mean, you obviously want to be mindful of the amount of time that you're utilizing, but this is important. As we mentioned, this is a very important part of the session.
Sometimes it's going to be really quick, and sometimes it's going to be a longer, drawn out piece because I don't know all the pieces. Now, I haven't given you guys anything that's really difficult for me because I can't think of anything at the moment. Mm-hmm. But those were real moments in what I shared. I mean, it's just the thought process of the moment. So sometimes it's going to be a rather faster answer and connection because I usually am pretty good at knowing where I am and what I need to do and sometimes just bouncing it around is what is helpful.
So also it's important.
Kind of the same thing.
What? It's also important to notice to know that when you think we're not just setting the contract for us, the coaches, we're setting it for our client as well. Because a lot of times in asking that second piece, when you ask that piece of how do you know when you've accomplished that, what you're doing is asking your client to get specific and also get real, bring whatever it is they want to work on into that real world and the realm of reality. So they may take some time to figure out, okay, what does that look like for me so that I know that I have worked on this. Whereas if without asking that question, we often can live up here in this realm of head, like it's going to happen, it's possible, but you never bring it into this concrete earth realm. And so that second half is very important, not just for the client or for the coach, but also for the client to know, oh, I'm actually working on this and this is how I do that and this is what I need to do that. So allowing them the time to figure that out, I think is very critical and important.
And let me answer Laura's question because it's very similar, yet it's not the same because the reflecting is going to be the mirror. I'm going to basically use the client's language. I'm going to use maybe a shortened version of what they're saying in that reflection, just like in a mirror. That reframing, I'm probably going to go, my understanding of what you're saying is here. These are not going to be your exact words, but this is how I'm hearing it. Is this at all correct? So that's how that reframing would look.
Maybe I was going to think of maybe reflecting is for the coaches, reframing is for the client, where you ask the client to reframe what they said maybe in a different way.
You can. I mean, you could ask them.
And, it's going to depend if you're asking the client to reframe. But see, that's kind of a lead. It's going to depend on what's going on in the session and where you're taking it. It's possible.
If you're asking for the reframe for your own clarity, right? So if I'm the coach, I'm asking for the reframe for my clarity and not so to change, like force a change in perspective.
Yeah.
Sure.
I do, but I think that the important thing is reflecting is a mirror, right? And reframing is sort of like a funhouse mirror.
That's why I would be
the same situation, but it's different in some regard. And so
I might be hesitant as a coach to reframe though, because I might be putting my own spin on what they said that has a completely different sort of meaning than what the client intended. So for clarity's sake, I might ask the client to reframe what they just said or put it into a different sort of wording for my understanding. But I would be hesitant to reword or put a different metaphor in what they said to reframe, because then I might be
we're not talking about taking it from where they started to some weird place. It's still more or less using their same language. It's just kind of pulling it together to make sure I've understood what they're sharing with me. So I'm going to reflect what they've said so that mirroring, and they go, so I think this is what I'm getting from that. Is that what you're trying to share with me? Again, taking ownership of what my understanding is. Could I ask them to reframe, not without first reflecting back what I'm hearing from them?
I also think too, it's so reframe. Well, there's a third way we use the term reframe as coaches, and that's more about when the work has happened, right? And when our clients have already done this for themselves. So a client can have reframed a situation for themselves. Maybe they came in with one perspective, and from working with you, they were able to reframe and change that perspective and see things differently. That is more of like a broad sort of, this is what happens, this is a result of working with me kind of thing, but it's not a phrase or something that you would use within you wouldn't say, we're going to remove this block right now for you. Like, you just wouldn't do that. And you wouldn't say, we're going to reframe, because what that is doing is assuming and being presumptuous, and will immediately put your client off. So,
well, and that they've done something wrong, and they've, all kinds of not good things. But I like what Donna has said right now. Reframing helps a client clarify with the coach and themselves. Really, that is what it's about. Is that what you're really, and not defensively, but is that what your point of view is? As I'm trying.
Yeah, you can say really. Is that really?
Yeah, is that really it? A lot of the times, especially because I work with two people, when I do work as a coach, I am using a little bit of both in the dialogue and checking in with the client. And because I'm working with two, the person who just did the speaking, I'm going to say he versus she, just to keep he's going to say, yep, that's it. That's exactly what I'm trying to say. And she, in that moment's going to go, I never got that from that before. And so sometimes that reframing allows the counterpart to hear things a little bit differently. So there's different strategic things that we do as coaches. That's one of them, but not to lead the session, just to have more, as Donna said, have more clarity. Mm-hmm.
So I think we should demonstrate one more time setting a coaching contract, because I think that this is because we've seen it happen different ways now, right? We've seen it happen several different ways. We saw Jerome do it in his approach. We saw Anthony do it and then not do it and then do it. Like I was looking at much better.
You know what, Anthony, I think it's really an amazing piece that you are still relatively new with this, because that's what our coaches are. Mm-hmm. And so they get to see that come from you. And that's a lot of the times what they're doing. And then that correction allows them to, again, reframe it. So thank you for
That's a very nice way of saying something else in my brain right now.
No, but seriously though, I really appreciate it. So thank you.
It is. When we've been doing this a while, it's hard to have the perspective of what somebody new is going through. I mean, I've been a little seasoned. Jerome is starting to get a little more seasoned. Brooke's got a lot of seasoning going on.
Right. I'm spicy.
And so you're kind of the newer link to this, and it's very refreshing and helpful to have that, because it reminds us all where, that newness of coaching comes in.
So I'm going to try just to not ever improve, so that way I'm always new for you guys.
Yeah.
Always something that we're
always new. We're never going to get tired of you, because you're always new.
So how about we see a Brooke set the session contract?
Okay, who am I coaching?
I don't know what I did a teddy bear, and
I can coach Jerome. Hi, Jerome. How are you today?
I'm doing pretty swell.
Good to see you. Welcome. What would you like to work on today?
What would I like to work on today? Good question. I don't want to bring up the same thing Lisa brought up, because I'm a little annoyed by that as well. Not the question, but topic. That's at the tip of my mind. But let's bring it back.
I think most coaching sessions are about what a good portion of them are what we were annoyed with.
Mm-hmm. That's the freshest thing on my mind that I'd like to kind of deal with. But let's say Yeah, let's bring it up. Because I brought it up in a session way back when, and I still haven't done it. I have not gotten a gym membership, and I want to. I know I want to. I just have not moved into that space. I'm still kind of like dilly-dallying what I have available to me here at home, but COVID's done. I can totally get a gym membership without any types of real issue. So why haven't I? That's kind of what I want to explore there.
So I'm hearing you want to explore the reason why you have not gotten a gym membership, and because you want to. How will you know when we have explored that to a degree that makes this session a success?
Really, I mean, not to reiterate completely what I just said, but I want to know what the reason behind that is. I haven't had anyone to really reflect that with, so maybe just speaking about that and getting some clarity behind what that block is or what those blocks are. So ideally, I may not be able to, at the end of this session, just hop in and get my gym membership. But ideally, at least understand what's been stopping me so I can work on that and then be ready to, move into that space where I actually do get one.
So what I'm hearing you say is you'll know that this session has been a success when we identify the reasons that you have yet to get a coach or a gym membership, a coaching membership, a gym membership. What is the first step in doing that?
I don't know. We did this. What if your client doesn't know? Let's think. First step is, figuring out. Yeah, now I'm thinking about it. I'm a little picky sometimes. I like what I have set up here, but also I enjoy getting at the house and getting into a different space. I think deciding which gym I want to go ahead and receive a membership or get a membership with, I think that's important. That's probably the first, if not the first, one of the first few steps I've got to figure out.
So I'm just noticing something, if I may I share? I just wanted for clarity, for the session's sake and the sake of what's going to make this a success. You said if we identify the reason you weren't getting the membership, that was going to make this session successful. But now what I'm hearing you say is that if you figure out what gym you want to go to, that would make this session successful. So I just want to ask you which way you want to go with this.
Okay, so guys, pause for a minute. So remember, everyone out there that's watching us on TV, I'm playing with that. That's what you're doing, is when you hear that contractual focus switches, you've got to have that ownership of what direction your client wants to go in, which is what Brooke just showed us here. Okay, unpause.
Okay, so I believe that in exploring, as we just did, that's actually brought me into a different space where I think now I can say that that would be a big one in this session, is to decide which gym I should go to.
So what you'd like to explore, instead of the why, is which gym you would like to go to. I'm going to ask you this one more time then. How will you know when we have landed on the perfect gym?
I won't. Maybe that's part of the problem. I'm not 100% certain that I would know. Maybe that's not what I want to explore then. Now I'm ready to I know I'm making this difficult, but
no, but that's okay. This is good. This is fantastic. Show you. Sometimes our clients don't know, and this is why it's important to ask these questions, because what it's doing is it's bringing his desires into an earthly realm, into a reality, and so that's why doing this exploration is important. Yes, Anthony.
So my mind is running to possibly anchoring sort of like, what is it about having a gym membership that is important to him? Because he said that
but that pushes. I think that is though you deciding for him first. That is You know what I mean?
Well, he already said that he wanted to get a gym membership, so I think it's safe enough to assume.
So share with us about that gym membership. You've mentioned that it's important because, or you didn't say important. Now I'm picking up Anthony's word.
No, but I feel like we're losing his desire though, which is to figure out what the perfect gym is, and that's where I was going. And we were going to get there. I promise.
Yeah, Anthony pretends like he's not empathetic, but he is, because he felt that's where I was going, because that's exactly where I was going next.
Yes, I was going to consider, if I just sat here quietly and let him talk, we would have gotten there.
Well, I guess my outside of the session
so
question is,
because it's like, just let it
Lisa,
happen. It's going to happen, people.
I'm just gonna. I don't have any questions. Just keep going.
Deanna has a good question in the chat there. What are you specifically looking for in the gym that you would try?
Yeah, I love that question.
Yeah.
Being around people, that is a motivative factor for me, as opposed to just being in my own space, and it's relatively a calm environment for me. And when I'm going to the gym, I'm not looking to be calm. I want to stress my muscles. I want to stress my body. And being in a calm environment, being here at home in my own little safe space, isn't really necessarily a space where I'm necessarily energized to stress my body in different directions that I could potentially be doing at the gym with, again, added motive. Being around people, it's an environment that is kind of set to put you in an exciting is what's coming up for me, a motivative environment where you've got music playing above you, you've got all types of people who are running alongside you, potentially making you that much more motivated to kind of push through if you are in a space where you're like, all right, I'm tired, and when I say you, I mean me, where I'm tired maybe, and I look over for some added motivation, and you just can't get that here in my own space.
So what's killing me right now is I can't even focus on coaching, and this is because we have not defined, for me, and this is my audio digital. This is my moment where I have to abide by rules or else I go crazy and my brain hurts and I have to do things a certain way. I feel like now we're exploring this realm of this is what gyms are, but I don't know that this is the ultimate. We're fulfilling his ultimate desire, and we're not just sidetracking him, And so for me, my audio digital brain, my rule oriented brain, really needs to know that we're working on this, and this is why. Because I think
recap for us. Just recap. Take it back. Recap. What are you hearing him say so far?
Well, that's the thing. I couldn't even, because the whole time I'm thinking why are we talking about this? Because we don't even know what the goal is at the moment, because we never fully set this because we were deviating, and now and that's where my brain it's genuinely killing me right now.
So if this
moment.
If this was to happen during,
it wouldn't happen though, because we would have set the contract in my session, but it would not have been interrupted.
When we're talking about you not joining the gym, you have not joined the gym.
Mm-hmm.
You have spoken about wanting to join
this is really bothering me, because this entire thing is about setting a session contract, and we have not successfully set the session contract.
We're working on it. Oh, so you're speaking about what you're getting. You get from a gym as you're imagining.
Yeah.
So what if you're wanting to get to a gym, you know what it's like to be in the gym. What's preventing you from following through?
Identifying that block. I keep telling myself that it's adequate doing it here. It's more convenient. But what I've been recently coming to kind of fall into is inconsistency, because of the fact that it's been a little warm out here in Southern California. So being outside cardio is a bit more difficult than it had been prior to it being 100 degrees every day of the week now. So I think me getting past the fact that the convenience isn't it's no longer outweighing the actual benefits of getting into a solid environment where you can get where I can get the work that I know that I want to get done, as opposed to, keep telling myself, I can get it done here, I can get it done here. And then it's 8 o'clock, and that's it's the good time to get outside, maybe move around a little bit. But then it's 8 o'clock and I'm burnt out for the day. And it's like, yeah, a bit
So
difficult.
that's where you've taken the session at the moment. What do you want to get by the time we finish our discussion?
I think I may have I may have stepped into that space, is that understanding. I think, I brought it up just speaking about this. I wanted to explore, and I think I did explore and uncover a little something there with the reason I kept telling myself that convenience outweighed being in an environment that actually is going to put the foundation down below me for me to be successful in doing what I'd like to do, as far as actually achieving, a decent workout, which is important to me.
So the success of this coaching session for you being at the end of the session is what?
Can you ask that again?
Trying to create that focus of what we've been speaking about as a group, right? We're talking about creating the focus for the session. How do you know this session's been successful?
I feel like we kind of went through a session, so I feel like I've achieved some success now.
Okay.
So drawing off of that,
Okay.
I think I've uncovered some things. I think I've identified that block, and I think that's what I wanted to do. But in setting this session contract, I think we went different directions, and thanks, guys, because I think I did identify ultimately what I wanted to identify, which is what was at the moment. I know that's at least genuinely an actual block that is genuinely preventing me from committing to getting a membership. Is not understanding that the inconsistency is no longer beneficial to me, as opposed to the convenience.
So the success of this coaching session, it's successful because you broke through a block that allowed you to see that convenience and consistency. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes. I've been able to identify, really what I've been able to do is set out my problem and be able to scale what is more important to me, the convenience or the consistency. And I would say not just along with the consistency of it, also being able to probably maybe flex into a space where I'm lifting more and heavier, because again, I don't have my own huge personal gym here at home, but it's definite, so with that being said, I definitely got limited amounts of, equipment to work with.
Okay. So I'm just really making sure the success of this session is about your choice to do what?
My choice. I don't know that the success of this session would be
About
the ability to choose. Yeah, I think, again, what I came here for, I think I just got done identifying the block. And
okay, then it becomes, if you identify the block, what's the work between now and next time?
Start looking for gyms, because I've come to the realization that that inconsistency isn't worth it at the moment, as opposed to convenience.
And so that commitment to look for gyms, 1 to 10, 10 being the most committed.
I think I have an idea, but 10. So 10. I have an idea of where. Yeah.
Okay. I don't still feel like we got the session contract per se.
So, but what sort of I observed throughout this whole thing was that oftentimes, and this is probably the case with a lot of coaches and clients, that there'll be the attempt at a session contract, and then there'll be conversation, But instead of letting that conversation go, what a coach should do is bring it back to the session contract and always sort of realign it
Hmm.
to some sort of goal, even if that goal sort of evolves as the conversation goes on.
Right, and re-identifying that, because where he went to is that he got clarity on his block, but that never was the session contract that I want clarity on my block.
That was, however, very important to me. I did deviate from it. I think in the beginning that is what I mentioned as being the reason for me being here today, correct? Wasn't that? I think I mentioned identifying that block, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So, how strongly should a coach sort of put the should the coach put like the guides up and always try to get them back on there, or should a coach let them explore a little bit and
Yes
be
to
okay
both.
with changing just a okay?
Yep, yes to both. It depends. It really depends.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And how so? And then another question. This might is a more, I guess, ICF related question. How important is setting that session contract when you're being observed for getting your ACC and PCC?
It's an instant fail if you don't. Instant fail if you don't.
Fail. Mm-hmm.
Instant fails. So if you're a coach and you're looking to get your ACC and PCC, that is, you have to get that done. And I grabbed our book, our textbook with the Go Learn sort of framework,
Mm-hmm.
and you got 4 minutes for greet, 7 minutes for ownership. So this is more talking about previous action plans,
Mm-hmm.
and then 4 minutes for the layout, which is setting the session contract, and the rest of the session should be exploration, talking about action plans and reassessments. So
So
four
we only
minutes doesn't.
really didn't have a lot of time with Jerome to get to that space yet. Go ahead.
Oh, I was about to say 4 minutes doesn't seem like a lot of time to sort of get that all done with a serious session contract. Um, would it be appropriate to like speak very, I guess not terse, but plainly, like we need to have a session contract in this coaching session, and a session contract means that we have a something that you want to work on and something that how we're going to know that this session was successful. Can
Yeah.
you say it that plainly to your clients?
Yes, with hesitation. The hesitation is you might say it differently to someone else. We want to, Jerome, what's brought you in, share with that. How will you know this session's been successful? Where it came to is I want to understand my block, which in the end, that's what he said he has come to. I understand what my block is.
Hmm. And then Lena Darden's worded could be, I just want to understand your goal for this session.
It could be.
Mm-hmm.
It could be.
Yeah, I was a difficult client in that space, but ultimately, I think I got to where I wanted to get to. But for the sake of the live stream, sorry for making it difficult, everyone.
I think we've got to wrap up here. We've got about a minute left. So we didn't get to show closing the contract, but at the end of closing, we would ask if they think we've achieved what they set out to achieve, and that would then hopefully they would say yes. And that would be the closing point. More important is the opening point, though. And we will explore that further later. Final thoughts, guys?
Setting the session contract is harder than it seems. It seems like the easiest thing just to say, what is their goal? What does success look like at the end of it? There's just two simple questions, but it can kind of blow out from there. So it's important to keep in mind that KISS, keep it simple, is always the best. And I would probably, even as a newer coach, write it down in front of me. This is what it is we're working on. this is what success looks like. So that way you're not having to remember it. You can just look and see, okay, this is it. Are we getting off track? Let's ask the client about that.
But sometimes off track works.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes off track can work with our client because it allows them to think outside of what they were thinking of and then come back to it. It depends. And there's another depends. Again, it doesn't have cookie cutter kind of experience.
Jerome, what did you take away?
So, again, we mentioned this is something that's very important to each session, not just for the sake of clarity to you, but we brought it up for the sake of the clarity to your client as well. Just making sure we're staying on course and ultimately putting ourselves in a space where we're setting ourselves up to succeed, to walk away from this session with some wins or a win, a particular win. And without that clarity on both ends, that, if not very hard to do, almost impossible.
I think Brooke is frozen.
Oh, she did. She went away.
No.
Lisa, what is your takeaway?
I think sometimes it gets like, what was that Dennis the Menace cartoon? Not cartoon, but the comic strip where you could see him going all over the place, and sometimes that is what allows a session to come to its fruition from start to beginning to end, but still having that clarity on what that client contract is going to be an important piece of that. Brooke's still frozen? No, she's moving.
Nope.
She's moving.
Yeah.
I'm back.
Brooke, what is your takeaway for everyone, the audience?
I don't have one. Other than it's important, especially for me. I mean, it's something that's very important to me to do as a coach. I know that for a fact because it's just knows how I am, that I'm moving down the right course. So
Janelle said the family circus comic, Lisa.
That's what it was. Yep, that's the one.
And with that being said, as far as us speaking about our takeaways, a big happy birthday again to you, Lisa.
happy birthday, Lisa.
Everybody wish Lisa happy birthday.
Thank
Bomb
you.
her Facebook with happy birthday wishes.
Love you guys. Thank you.
Make sure everybody shares, likes, comments, all that good stuff, and check out Certified Life Coach Institute. We certify coaches in 3 days. Woohoo!
See you guys next week.
All right, bye-bye.